let's get our full-blown acceleration. Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video, we're gonna be going over a 2021 Ram 1500 Warlock with the 5.7 Hemi. But first and foremost, a huge shout out and thank you to the Dodge Ram here in Sandy for giving me some time with this Warlock. Check out the inventory in the link below. Let's get straight into the video. So under the hood of the 1500 Warlock, we have a naturally aspirated 5.7 liter Hemi V8 that goes through an 8-speed automatic transmission. Fuel economy is 15 around town and then 21 on the highway, with power outputs being 395 horsepower and then 410 pound-feet of torque. Now let's go over the front end of the 1500 Warlock. So obviously this is built off the classic body style. So you have the old school hood with the Ram, and then you've got the old school projector halogen bulbs with the little LED turn signals right next to it. And the LED turn signals will look like that just when they're on, obviously blinking versus being solid. And then you've got the Ram logo here. This is all from the Ram Rebel, actually, the front grille and the bumper and then the lights and all that. That's all from a Ram Rebel from the previous generation, which I think looks pretty cool from a front end perspective. Obviously has that kind of like more aggressive off-roader type look. Now coming around the side here, we've got two 75mm tires wrapped around 20-inch wheels in the front and over in the rear as well. And these might look pretty familiar to you because these are the wheels from a Bighorn. They've just been blacked out to go with the overall theme of the truck. So this is kind of just like a part spin. But anyways, you guys can see the front suspension here with the Warlock, and then you have the blacked out Hemi 5.7 liter badge, and then you've got the 1500 Classic badge right there on the side. And then other than that, you guys can see the door handles also blacked out, and then also you can see the fender flares there, which are also blacked out, which kind of, again, goes with the overall theme of the truck. Let's go over the rear of this truck. So this does not come with a bed liner. You can get it as an option, or you can just do it after the fact. I recommend doing it just after the fact. That's pretty easy, and it's a little bit less expensive than the factory option. But you can see no LED bed lights or anything like that. I totally just clicked the key against the tailgate when I stepped up to it, so it just locked it. But anyways, payload capacity is about 1,463 pounds with this Warlock, and also this has the 6'4" bed. Now let's go over the rest of the rear end of the Warlock. So first and foremost, you guys can see that you've got the LED lights here in the back again from the previous generation, and then you've got all of your blacked out badging here on the rear end, and then we've got chrome exhaust tips, which is kind of random, and then you've got the Rebel bumper with the parking sensors on it, and then we've got the receiver hitch. Towing capacity on this truck's right around 10,000 pounds, if you guys were wondering. And other than that, that's everything for the rear of the Warlock. Let's go over the door panel here in the rear. So you guys can see you've got kind of like the old school door panel. So material use isn't nearly as nice as the newer trucks, but the door handle is pretty much the same. And then coming to the seats here in the rear, you guys will notice that this actually has the newer style of seats here in the back. So the cloth back here is actually really nice, but it's interesting. It's kind of like the mix between the old and the new. So they basically just took the seats from like a tradesman package with the new body style and just put it in this truck. And then you guys can see you got the storage space just underneath the seat. Now this is the quad cab, so it's a smaller cab. So stepping in, I would recommend side steps. It's kind of difficult to get in. Now headroom is fine, 5'11". Legroom though, on the other hand, it's a little bit cramped here in the quad cab, so it's definitely a downside. But other than that, this is the back end of the Warlock. Before we go over the door panel here, this truck does have the trailer mirrors, so they do flip up and they are heated as well. As for the door panel here at the front, you guys can see we're actually going to rest your arm is pretty hard, but they put soft touch here on this little portion with the little trim just to make it look cool. And then you guys can see you've got all of your window controls, your mirror adjustments as well on that little area. And then you got the front seats here, again, borrowed from the new generation truck, which I think is a nice little look here in the Warlock package. They are manually adjustable. And then you guys can see you've got the pedal layout there at the bottom, and then you've got the light controls just here at the top. The steering wheel is manually adjustable. And there's one more look before we pop into the Warlock. Here's the steering wheel with the Warlock. You have the old style of steering wheel. You guys can see you've got the cruise control right here, and then you have the gear limiter on the other side. Voice command controls and phone controls on that side, and then you got the controls for the center stack. Overall, pretty nice little look for the steering wheel, obviously more on the basic side. And then you have the stock for the turn signal and the windshield wipers as well. And It's all for the steering wheel. Now here is the center gauge cluster again. It's with the old body style trucks. So you have that little screen there in the center, gives you different bits of information. You can make it be like a little digital speedo, which is usually what I leave it at. But pretty basic in terms of the information, not nearly as nice as the new style of truck. But I mean, I feel like it still looks relatively good. Here's the center infotainment system, and if you actually get like a new tradesman, then you get the same infotainment system as this truck, which is pretty funny. But anyways, first off, we've got the backup camera, so you can see that you've got the trajectory lines that turn with the steering wheel. No zoom in function though on the camera. And then this comes with pretty basic stuff. So you have your radio, you've got your Bluetooth, all that kind of stuff with the truck. Again, nothing too crazy. It's just more of a basic setup. Just down below the infotainment system, we've got some controls here. So you've got the climate controls, just a single zone climate here in the Warlock. And then you get your parking sensors there for the rear to turn that off, your tow haul mode, your stability control, and then the trailer brakes as well. And then you've got this random little like storage thing here. Don't know what that's all about. And then you've got the gear selector here, so still have the dial shifter. Definitely feels different than the new one. Like this one kind of feels like more robust, whereas the new one just feels smoother when it clicks into the gears. So it's definitely just different in the string. And then you get your drive line select just down below. You've got your 2-wheel drive, your true neutral there in the center, and then your 4-wheel lock and your 4-wheel low. And then you have the 12 volt just behind that little area. And then you've got a USB on the other side. Now here's the whole center console situation, which is actually a bench seat. So you've got the soft touch there at the top. And then, well, there you go. Not recommended for sliding camper use. You heard it first here, folks. Anyways, you've got some USBs in there. You've got a coin holder as well. Cup holders here on the top, and then you lift up the seat. It's a bench seat. And then if you guys are wondering, there's no under seat storage. There's just this paper format. But yeah, no under seat storage, but obviously you could sit someone here. Just legroom's going to be difficult. But the seat, it's just as nice as the other seats here in the truck, so that's pretty cool. And then finishing things off, we've got the glove box here, which you've got the dual glove box system, and both of them have coverings over them, so pretty easy use on that little portion. Now finishing things here at the top, you've got the lights. You just press them and they pop on and off. Pretty straightforward with that. And again with the mirror, you've got the little mirror dimmer thing. Again, pretty straightforward with that. And then for the glass, it's just fixed rear glass there. You can't open it or anything like that, so yeah. And then darker colored headliner. Now that we're done going with the interior on this Warlock, let's quickly get into the pricing. So in terms of pricing, this particular Warlock stickers for about $45,000, but don't let the MSRP fool you. Typically, because this is obviously the older body style truck, they usually have bigger discounts on this truck, and a lot of times they'll have lease specials as well. And so even though it's got a pretty high MSRP, it's not necessarily the selling price. Just hint, hint, wink, wink with that. Anyways, let's take this 1500 Warlock out and see how she drives. Quick talk about visibility before we set off here in this Warlock. You guys can see visibility over the hood is pretty decent, and then you get your visibility through both of the mirrors, and then here's all throughout the rest of the rear. So pretty good in general. The only thing is it does take you a second to get used to the visibility over the hood since it's a truck's a little bit bigger. But that all being said, let's set off. Per normal, we're just going to kind of weave through the parking lot initially so we can kind of see the maneuvering, and I'm going to make a lot of comparisons to the new body style Ram. Obviously a lot of people kind of cross shop this with the new body style. They kind of go, well, is the new one really worth the extra money, or should I get the older body style? So maneuverability feels pretty good. The steering definitely feels different. So the new one, the steering definitely has kind of like more of a luxury feel to it. This steering rack feels just a little bit heavier, but it's less direct. So the new one definitely feels more direct and lighter, if that makes sense, whereas this one feels a little bit less direct and also heavier. And then in terms of like the initial ride quality, this is where you're going to notice the biggest difference between a new body style 1500 and this older body style 1500 is the ride quality. The new one is just so smooth, and you get like no noise into the cabin other than the engine pretty much, whereas this, it's just a lot less insulated pretty much, and the ride quality is just not as smooth. And really it just depends on if you care about that or not. Me personally, I always like kind of more of like a luxury type feel, so that's why I prefer the new body style. But I can understand someone just not really caring and they just want a truck for truck stuff, and this pretty much fits that bill if you just want a truck for truck stuff. Now from a handling perspective, I can actually perceive a handling difference between this truck and the newer body style. The newer body style has the engine pushed back a little bit, and you can actually feel that benefit with the truck handling a little bit better. The turn inch just a little bit nicer on the truck. And just overall, there's just a lot of difference in terms of the handling. It feels like it's just a little bit easier to drive compared to the old body style. And this is me having to be really nitpicky. I hope that you guys kind of get that. This is still a really good truck, but let's get our minor acceleration. Gosh, I love the sound of that 5.7 Hemi. You actually hear more engine noise. So the newer truck, it definitely, again, it's more insulated and you just don't hear as much engine noise, whereas this, you get a lot more engine noise. It kind of just feels more raw in general is the best way for me to put it. The brakes on this truck are also really solid, so you still win on that perspective. And, well, let's get our full-blown acceleration. Gosh, I love the sound of that Hemi. It sounds so good. So from an acceleration standpoint, I really can't perceive a difference between this truck and the new body style. They feel completely identical. Again, the transmission's the same, the power output's the same. It's just the body's different, right? I can't perceive a difference. This feels just as quick, just as strong. And this truck does have the 392 axle ratio, and that's why this truck is able to tow about 10,000 pounds. And let's actually get into summing things up with this Warlock. So first off, from an exterior perspective, I feel like the Warlock's a really good looking package. If I was gonna get a classic body style 1500, I would go for the Warlock package just because I feel like it looks really good from the exterior. In terms of the interior of the truck, I think it's cool they added the seats from the new Tradesman into this truck. Definitely makes it feel a lot better. These seats are so comfortable, especially for like a base model truck. They're just really comfortable seats in general. And then from the driving perspective, again, it doesn't drive as nice as the new truck, but it does all the truck stuff. It has a decent payload capacity, has a decent towing capacity, fuel economy is pretty good for a truck. And so if you're just looking for, again, a truck to do truck stuff, that's where the Warlock's gonna shine. If you want all the nice new stuff, then, well, get the new body style. So it just depends on what your needs are. I would definitely drive both of them and pick which one you like the best. But yeah, I can see why they still make this truck. It's still really good to this day, actually. Now, that is gonna sum things up for our video on this 2021 Ram 1500 Warlock. And again, a huge shout out and thank you to the Dodge Ram here in Sandy for giving me some time with this truck. Check out their inventory in the link below. I'll see all of you in that next video.